Well, I'm Phil here, Desperado 2, and you're looking here at me changing a rear oil seal on a Yanmar 3YM. Now, I didn't take videos of taking it all apart, but I'm going to try to make a couple videos of putting it all back together. Now, I'm trying to do this in the water. So, a couple things. First thing is, I could not move my shaft back far enough, and mainly because there was zincs on there, and the water here is just too nasty to dive on. So I ended up having to rig up a board across here, and it's just some Dyneema that's tied through the lifting lugs. And then I levered it up on another piece of wood that goes across some pretty solid supports, and I had to move the engine forward. So basically I just took it off the engine mounts and moved the whole engine forward. After I had to disconnect the coupling, obviously. This is the seal that I'm replacing. You can't really see it here, but there's the seal. $20 seal. It's a big job, though. So, first thing we did, like I said, is it disconnected the coupling to the shaft, moved the shaft back as far as we could. We got about 3/4 inches on that. Then I had to rig up and move the whole engine forward. As you can see there, it's completely off of its engine mounts, and I just support it with some 4x4 scraps I found. Then the bell housing comes off. Then there's a damper plate, and then this great big flywheel here, which is going to be a bear considering how tight quarters I have to work on this thing. And then way inside there, let me get a flashlight on this to see if I can get a better light. That is where the new seal is going to go, right in there. Now, I don't know if this is the ideal way to do it. I looked at all my options, like getting hauled into a lift, to try to do it there, diving on to see if I could get some more movement. I also had to disconnect the exhaust hose, obviously. It took probably, because of the awkward spot here, I would say a solid 4-5 hours to get this far. And I don't mind telling you, I'm not as young as I used to be. It was a struggle. So this is the rear main seal. Now, mine had been leaking very slowly for a bit, and I tried an additive. The additive was AT205, which has the highest ratings for, kind of one of those stop seal leaks. And all it did was just create a much larger leak. So I don't suggest using it on your Yanmar. But I'm going to give you a couple videos of me trying to get all this back together today. It's actually very straightforward. Putting it back together, the only challenge is, of course, you've got to torque all the bolts properly, and it's really tough to get a torque wrench in here. But I'll update you as I go if I find anything, and wishing you all a good day, because I'm going to have a back-breaking day in here. This space is I have to crawl through these little tiny space. I got a board here, and I got the engine tank here, and I have to sort of climb in over this, and it's not very big. You can see I can touch this here. So I'll give you an update. It's not a fun job. I hope never have to do this again, but I couldn't find many videos online of people doing it while the boat's in the water, and that's what I'm doing here. All right, I will update you in a bit. Take care. Phil from Desperado 2. Over. Okay, so here's the update so far. So the seal went in pretty easily. I just used a piece of PVC pipe that matched the outer diameter of the seal and pushed it in. The hardest job was actually lifting this flywheel in. I don't have a lot of room in this boat. Fortunately, there is a locating pin. So once you get the locating pin on, and you can see there's 5 bolts in here. So I'm about to tighten those, and 80 to 86 newton meters of torque. So I got to try to get a torque wrench in here to do that. After this, then the damper plate goes in here. So if you do take it apart, you're going to see a damper plate, and it's not going to make a lot of sense, but you got to pull out the bolts from the damper plate to access these screws for the flywheel. So The flywheel is heavy. I'll tell you, it's got to be about 30 pounds. And unless you have really good access, it's very, very difficult to lift it up and line it up with the pin. I tried a couple different techniques. One, I put a strap around it and had somebody lift it so that I could try to locate it on there. And with some degree of success. Anyway, after a lot of fighting and a lot of muscling, was able to get that in. So the next thing that's going to go on, well, I'll update the video in a bit. So I don't know, hopefully this helps somebody trying to do this themselves. Honestly, I talked to a marine shop about it and they just went, "We feel bad for you." So that's Phil, D2. See you in a bit. Okay, so the 5 bolts in the flywheel have to be tightened to 80 to 86 Newton meters, which I think is around 46 foot-pounds. So this is, I have a torque wrench in here. I don't have a lot of room to work. In order to stop the cylinder from turning, I just used a piece of seizing wire, just wrapped around the exhaust there, and put a little bolt in there. That just helped stop it from turning. So hopefully, yeah, I tried a couple different methods, and this one seems to be the best. So you can see the 5 bolts in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so 80 to 86 Newton meters is the torque spec on those. All right, as I continue, I will try to update. Take care. Okay, so this is your damper plate, your torque plate here, and there's the screws all around. Torque spec on those, I'm using 35 foot-pounds on these. And again, just using this little wire. I had to use a different bolt because the bolt I was using from here, well, I needed it for there. So fortunately with Yanmars, everything's all right. These are 13 millimeter heads. I know Yanmar has a bad habit of putting 13 millimeter bolts everywhere. So there they are, and I just realized probably this part of the video is going to be upside down, but once again, so this is the damper plate. This is the next step. So we had the seal, we have the flywheel, and now this is the damper plate. After this, bell housing. So almost there. Of course, got to still put the motor back in place. Still have to reconnect the prop shaft. But if anybody's going to attempt to do this themselves, I sure hope this helps someone. Take care. Well, the bell housing went on fairly easy. Couple things that the 2 bottom bolts are very difficult. So in my case, I had to use 2 extensions and 2 swivels to get at the bottom 2 because they're way underneath there. Of course, your shifter link had to be removed. Simple. It was just 2 bolts here, and this is your fuel. So that had to be also taken off because the bracket attaches there. So now that this is back on, I have to do an engine alignment, and which you know, you can see here, but these are the bolts that I had to take off. So it should be pretty close, but it's always good to do your engine alignment. Of course, I'm in the water, so that's where your engine alignment should be done. And so then I have to reset my driplish seal. You're only supposed to use the set screws in these things once, so you should always use new set screws whenever moving them. I always put this ring here, it's just a little backup, so I just kind of put that against there once I've got it set. And of course, it's got to come forward a little bit yet. So this is it. 2 days. The biggest problem was just space, and sorry about the knocking there. And space and getting the parts in. Lifting the flywheel on was probably the hardest part of the job. And of course, lifting the motor out to make enough room to be able to remove this, because you're going to need, as you can see, I only had 3/4 of an inch here or so, and really you need at least 3 inches to be able to get everything apart. So this is it. Should be back together today. Of course, I got the exhaust to put back on there, but long and short of it is, it's a job. I think I could have done it faster if I were a little bit younger, but This is sort of the third day into this, and this is probably only a couple-hour job here. All right, folks, Phil from Desperado 2. Thanks for watching. I only make these in case they help somebody. It's, it's not a monetized channel or anything like that. But if you do get something out of it, let me know, because I don't get a lot of views, and I'm not trying to get views, but I'll quit making them if nobody gets anything out of these. Take care, folks, and have a great day.